Hello, everyone. Welcome to Monday Night Live with Alan and Greg. And our guest tonight is Sarah from the Bookish Knitter, or should we say this is Garbagus, the bondage knitter.
Yeah.
And I am another booby file reads Playboy for the articles.
And I am, what was my name? Big Hard Bricks and Basics, something like that.
I would have put something else in there, but I don't want to get too naughty. And
Yeah.
Yeah, big. Oh yeah, big. Yeah, I can imagine. I'm like lightning. I didn't even think of that.
Well, we had a lot of fun in the original group, just coming up with names for people, and
No doubt.
some of them were really good. And okay, now, Sarah, this show does not have a lot of structure to it.
I'm down. That sounds good.
The one thing I usually do to start off is ask people to talk about a book they've read or recently read that they want to highlight. But I've been asked to hold off a couple minutes because some people are not punctual coming to these shows. And
Okay.
so, give about 10 minutes or so before you actually get into the strong conversations about books. So
Fair enough.
now Alan was mentioning that he's got 105 degrees in Portland.
Oh my Lord.
That's Portland.
Oh yeah. Today, that's why I'm dressed like this, and I've got two fans going. I don't have air conditioning. I choose not to because, it's a brand new building, but we had an option to have AC out of the window or not. I didn't want the extra electric. I really don't need it. It rarely gets like above 95 here. We had a great summer so far.
Yeah, I used to live outside of Seattle too, so very similar weather. And the summers are so beautiful in Pacific Northwest. Usually it's like 75 degrees in the middle of summer and no humidity and just a beautiful place to be in the summer. Except 9 months out of the year, you get a little bit of rain every day. Not a whole lot. Hello.
Yeah, you live and love the rain.
Hello, Zap. Welcome. Reading is fundamental, and I have pinworms. Well, thanks for sharing. I have a Seagram's. Todd is I have the popcorn ready. Yahoo! Hello, everyone. Hello,
Nice.
Todd. So you mentioned,
cool.
Sarah, that you're out in Canada, and are you having a nice summer day out there?
It's for you guys, it's 70 degrees.
See, that'd be perfect.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's 70 degrees. So it's just nice. I love it. But as you well know, it gets bloody cold here for 6 months of the year. So what little summer we have, my brother was over earlier with his son, with my nephew. They were swimming in the pool. So that was great. Yeah, we Canadians are a hardy folk. Like as long as there's no snow on the ground, we'll go swimming.
It's fine.
Yeah, well, Virginia today was pretty warm. Got into the mid 90s, and I have a sun deck that's has open windows, and I couldn't sit out there much past 10 a.m. It's like, okay, got to go back inside. But got a few more people. Bibliophile Raider to the Pinworms guy. Hello, all. Okay.
Welcome.
Okay, well, about 5 minutes in, couple of new people here. I don't think I've seen Reading is Fundamental or Bibliophile Raider here in the show before.
Oh.
I know I've seen Todd before, and I've seen Zap before, and it says there's 14 people watching, but I don't know who they are.
I'm going to turn this fan off.
They could be. We actually, this show has been very fortunate. We don't get a lot of spam bots.
Oh, that's good. Now that you've said it, though, watch.
I know that you say. I've seen one before. And to be honest, I was so excited to see. I don't want to say that word that rhymes with corn bot.
Yes. Yes.
And I was actually kind of happy. Yay! I'm the big time.
I've made it.
I made it. I've been here a time or two. Okay. All right. Ooh, Winterlude. I remember Winterlude. Hello. Okay. So, Sarah, as the guest, you get to talk about the first book.
Okay. I'm glad that you gave me 5 minutes because it gave me a chance to think about something. Now, I am known as the romance reader. However, the book that I just read very recently that I just adored was 20 Years Later by Charlie Donnelly, I believe is the author. It's a thriller. And it is set kind of a dual timeline from 2021 to 2001. And if anyone knows what happened in 2001 with the World Trade Center. So it's pretty much, I don't want to give too much away because, again, it's a thriller. It's about a woman who is accused of murder and then she dies in the World Trade Center. And they've now found her body or her part of her remains, and it reopens that cold case. That's all I wanted. The book was great. I was really enjoying it. The last 20%, I could not stop listening to it. I was just like walking around, making my lunch, driving to work, you know, like you didn't want to unplug it in your head.
I love audiobooks too. Alan does too. So we're all on board. Sometimes you get a book that's so good on you just, like you said, you just make excuses to sit down and read it or listen to it. It's just.
Exactly. No, it was, if you're a thriller reader, I highly recommend it. It's an author I was not familiar with.
20 Years Later?
20 Years Later. It's on Kindle Unlimited.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to read a lot of thrillers, you know, like, well, crime fiction, or do you call Jack Reacher books thriller? I've read all those, you know.
Those are fantastic.
Daniel Silva. Yeah.
I read, I think, one of his. Doesn't he have an Israeli art critic or something? Spy? It just some book I've read in my past had someone was an Israeli art critic and spy. We have I Am New, but I love vintage horror, so I found you.
Yay!
We did just get off Vintage Horror Week on Garbagas, so I do have one of my vintage horrors by my side. I may get to that. Hey, Lee. Hello. Peter the Book Lover. I recently read War and Peace. I know some of you read this. I have. Out of curiosity, what is your favorite part of the story? Have you read War and Peace, Sarah?
Good Lord, no. I would love to try and attempt it, but no, I have not read it.
I read it 2 years ago, not 2020, 21. Oh, I think Alan dropped off. It's his wife. I'm trying to convince him to just pay for Wi-Fi.
Right.
It's really hard to pick a favorite part of War and Peace. I don't want to get too much in, but there was a couple of sections about a wolf.
Okay.
They go wolf hunting. And I say it's a favorite part of the book, but it also made me really, really angry.
Interesting.
Because I'm more for the wolf. I don't want to hunt a wolf, you know. And I also liked the part where Pierre was joining the Masons. Okay, Alan. Your time to talk about a book.
Oh, well, as you see, I'm already getting kicked off, but I'm reading like the same thing you're reading, basically, Greg. You know, we're into Faulkner in August, my annual thing, our 5th year. So I've got 3 editions of this with the audiobook going as I read it. This is my 5th time reading this book. I actually stole this book from a place in Georgia. They won't miss it, believe me. Then, you know, our Bodyguard group that reading, you know, I'm the worst procrastinator. I haven't even read all the stories in the Stygian Society collection yet. You know, I've read a couple of my friends, and but But I keep putting this off because I have audio and library books due. So
Understandable.
Mm-hmm.
I want to read this for Garbogust.
Oh, Dean Koontz, nice.
I read one of his books
Yeah,
last month.
I read that when I was like in junior high school, so that's going to be great.
Yeah, I gobbled those up in high school pretty much.
All right, before I get to mine,
I
let's
can
get.
say what Stephen King is to the Beatles as Cooch is to the Rolling Stones.
I want to get through some comments
My little analogy.
because sometimes I get behind. If you've ever done a live stream, you can get behind in comments
Very
real quick.
easily. Yep.
And sometimes the comment is no longer relevant. And then I skip the comment and they say, why did you skip my comment? It's no longer relevant. Okay. Belinda, 105 in Austin. Ooh.
Ooh, no, thank you.
Never take anything
thank you.
personally.
Bad as Rad is also from Austin. She can come in and talk about how hot it is with you. Oh, wait a second. Nettie. Hello, Nettie.
Austin.
Good. Have you guys ever read any novels by Victor B. Miller? I have read 3 of his novels and loved them. He was the screenwriter from Friday the 13th.
Oh, interesting.
I have not. We have to get It Came from the Page on here. He can talk all about them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he has read them. Bye, Alan. Miller has Paperbacks from Hell and Vintage Smut. Well, hello, MJ.
Hello.
Peter, my favorite part was the duel in War and Peace. Yeah, that was a good part too. Raider, I'm a huge fan of your book shorts. I am sub to your channel.
Oh, excellent.
Hi, saying hi, didn't they? I'm normally skip highs to other people. I'm not ignoring you. It's just Kuntz is better than King.
I've never read King.
Oh. Okay.
I've seen Carrie, but I've never read. I should try Carrie. I've heard people have told me that's a good place to start.
It is. It's not his best book,
Mm-hmm.
but he was a little more focused, or the editors back then said you need focus book, and then he got kind of. I think he got kind of bloated.
Oh, okay.
Period.
Okay.
I'm sure that's very true of everyone,
Mm-hmm.
or many famous.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Rady. Hello, Courtney. I was just to say hi to Alan when he disappeared. Oh, I think Alan's down in the comments. Lee, speaking about smut, I'm working on Messala Empress Adulterous Libertine.
That
Okay.
sounds like some smut. Yep.
Yes, it does. Okay, Courtney, I love the short story. And Sarah, I would totally buddy read Carrie with you.
Oh,
there
good.
You
Okay.
go. Bringing people
Yay.
together.
Yay.
I read Carrie last year for Garbogust.
Okay.
I had originally read it, back in the 80s. So I didn't remember much.
It had been a while.
It's been a while.
Been a minute or two. Yeah.
And I thought it'd be and the thing is, I had to come to the conclusion that it really wasn't a trashy book.
Oh, okay.
It had some serious, it's a thriller, it's a horror, but it's not pure trash.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Alan saying hi to Courtney. Saying hi to Diggy. People saying, okay. So what I read, finished today, was The Omen by David Seltzer. This is the novelization of the movie. He's also the screenwriter for the movie.
Oh, okay.
It had a funny story at an introduction because I guess he was a screenwriter for other things. And then a producer called him and says, hey, The Exorcist has been a really successful movie. Do you have a story about I Can Be Used for the Devil? And he goes, yes, I do. He said, well, get on it. And he had no idea what to do.
Oh, no.
He just told the guy he had the idea. And then he went scrambling.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is, it's a really good devil story. Have you ever seen the movie or read the book?
No.
It does really, I mean, he takes all the Christian stories about the devil and the apocalypse and it throws them all together. in a
Oh,
way
I'll
that
have
was,
to look that one up.
it's a really good little novelization.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Good to
Yeah,
know.
I started it in MJ's readathon yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I finished it today, so it's like 224 pages.
Oh, that's nothing. Yeah.
It's highly entertaining, pretty competently written. It just moves along really well.
Mm-hmm.
There's one chapter. I mean, you could see he was doing the film thing. It's like one paragraph is this character, next paragraph this character, next paragraph. I mean, people don't like head hopping so much, but sometimes it works really well. So you can see all these three events that are occurring.
Mm-hmm.
Because you
Mm-hmm.
have the one of the main characters driving home, trying to get something bad is going to happen, and then you have the person something bad is going to happen to, and then you get the little devil child
Oh, okay.
who's getting ready to do the bad thing, and you go, okay, it worked. In that case, it really worked. Just flipping there,
Mm-hmm.
narrated really quickly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool.
It was cool. I'm now going to go get his. He wrote a second novelization. He wrote the movie Prophecy.
Okay, I've heard of that one.
It was a horror movie in the late 70s. They I think the side effects, or not side effects, the special effects for the monster were
Yes.
not really very convincing, they said. Cheap old horror movie from back then.
Those B horror movies.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's see what other people are saying. Best Dean Coates is The Key to Midnight. I have not read that one.
Nope.
Digging Books. Let's read it. Wait a second. I think I missed a couple of. I missed a couple of comments. Let me go back up and catch up on some of the comments I missed.
They jump around.
Yeah. I've never read Carrie. Well, you've got MJ, Sarah, Nettie. You go for it. Here's Peter. I remember liking the book Lightning by Dean Koontz. Messalina was a third wife of Claudius.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now I remember reading the book I, Claudius by Robert Graves. I mean, it was a historical novel about the emperor, and it was a really excellent historical novel because these Roman emperors and their families, they got up to some pretty cruel shenanigans. I especially remember Claudius's mother.
Oh.
Was she a mean woman. Very cruel and conniving. Fave kind of novels of mine: Hearts in Atlantis, Dreamcatcher, Dream Series. That's Alan. I think Alan has given up trying to get on. And there is someone say Best Dean Keys. I have not read that one. And MJ saying let's read it. Peter says The Omen is a great book. Alan, I knew Nettie would be here. It's late for Nettie for Halloween. MJ,
yes.
What do you think?
Yes.
MJ, Late Night Crew, UK Crew. Yep. Lee, what is the name of one that was on Amazon with David Tennant? Gods and Omens?
Oh.
You're probably talking about Good Omens by Terry Pratchett, Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman came to mind for that. Yes.
Has nothing to do with The Omen by the Devil Child. Hey, Alan. I'm off to work at the moment, so able to stay up. Another good one is Rosemary's Baby. Yeah, I've read that before, and I want to pick it up again. He's also he wrote some other good. He did Boys from Brazil.
Okay.
And he did The Stepford Wives.
Oh, okay.
I think he's done a couple of the thrillers which are pretty good. It's pretty short. We can totally squeeze it in this month. Okay. Yes, IR11. Bad 70 side effects. Yeah. Oh, Alan's trying to get back in. Hold on. Let's see if we can get him back in. Hey, Alan.
Try it from a different angle. See how long this lasts.
Oh, what date? I like Phantoms and Twilight Eyes for Kuntz.
Okay.
I know
And everyone seems to be liking Dean Koontz over Stephen King, and I'm a big Stephen King fan. Always.
A friend of mine just bought a house on Stephen King Street.
Oh, great! That's a good omen.
I've read. Yeah. I read the Phantoms, but I don't think I read the other one. But I read the Phantoms in the '80s. So again,
okay.
You can't ask me to remember anything. Oh, Livia. That's his mom. That's his Claudia said. Livia, don't eat the figs. Lee Kemper, Good Omens by Neil Gaiman. Yep, got that. Phantoms was great. You know, there's one reason I want to read Phantoms, and I can't reach it here. But hold on, let me get this one book to show people. Hold on. Let's see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna get kicked off again. I can tell. Go through time is a charm. Greg's frozen.
Fingers crossed. No, he got something.
I want to show this book. This is Crawling Dark.
Ooh.
By Pauline Dunn. It's vintage horror.
Okay.
And the story is that it was written by two sisters, like Pauline and some, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the sisters was a plagiarist.
Oh.
So what happened was she says, "Can you write these chapters?" He says, "Okay." And she went out to Dean Koontz' book Phantoms and just started typing out paragraphs from Phantoms and altering like a couple of words or something. And they submitted this to the publisher.
Mm-hmm.
The publisher didn't catch on. And they published it. And Dean Koontz eventually found out.
You think? Yeah.
And one of his fans said, "You know, did you write this book under a pseudonym?" And he goes, "No." And so he was a little upset.
Yeah.
And so this book is now completely out of print.
No doubt.
No doubt. So I picked it up real cheap for like $2, but
nice.
So what I want to do is I want to read Phantoms again, and then I want to read this book. I just want to see how bad that plagiarism is.
Fair enough. Oh, that's awesome.
It is kind of fun.
It is, yeah. Publishing lore, right?
Yeah. Be sure to hit that like button, everyone. Yeah, that'd be kind. He did Stepford Wives, great book. King is overrated nowadays. I was a really big King reader in high school. I read Salem's Lot. No, I read The Shining when it was brand new in paperback.
Okay.
You know, mass market. And then I read The Shining. And so up through the early 90s, I would buy all of his books the minute they came out. And sooner or later, as I got older, I'm going, you know, I'm just not digging these stories anymore. And part of it is just, as I grew older, my acceptance of supernatural magic lessens.
Okay.
That I just cannot accept lots of supernatural events that just totally unbelievable.
That makes sense.
And now I think about The Omen is, it's not a huge spoiler, but they're talking about the little boy being the son of the devil. Although, is he the son of the devil? Because you never really get into it like he's not making magic happen. There's just people talking about, well, his mother was this and this and that, and people die mysteriously. But you know, I like it when there's this like mystery behind it all that you can't quite focus in. And Stephen King does the exact opposite. He just you know, if you have like a supernatural scale, Omen would probably be about 4 to 5 because you know people die in ways that are not unnatural but are sort of predicted.
Sure.
And Stephen King, he's getting that volume. He's trying to go to 11, go to 11. You know, but
Yep.
that's just me. MJ, I have never read a Stephen King book. You and Sarah together.
Everybody tells me though to start with 11/22/63 as well, just because it's not King being King, you know. My husband really liked that one, but it's kind of daunting. I think I'll start with Carrie.
Yeah, you know, I sort of agree with that. My problem is the same with his Supernatural, because he has a story about time travel.
Yes.
Now, time travel, we know you can't travel in time.
Mhm.
And, you know, stories like H.G. Wells' Time Machine, he has a machine, travels in time, that's it. I
Mhm.
won't give any spoilers, but Stephen King had to add flourishes to time travel.
Okay.
And I'm going, okay, I can sort of buy the machine, take you into time, dropping you off, do your thing, but I'll let you read it and make your own judgment.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm going, no. King is good, don't get me wrong, but his new stuff is not good.
Oh.
See, I have not read a lot of his new. I dropped out about the mid-90s is when I dropped out, except for like occasional ones like the time travel one.
My husband reads a number of them. Like he has pre-ordered Holly. Is that the new one? I think.
I think so. Yeah.
And yeah, and he really liked Mr. Mercedes. Again, it's not King really being King.
I've mentioned this before that I sort of dropped out of King, and someone mentioned go pick up Mr. Mercedes
Mm-hmm.
because it's more of just a crime novel.
That's exactly what Garrett said. Yes. Yes.
It's more of him being a crime novel. So
Mm-hmm.
I will get down to it. Belinda, Salem's Lot made me terrified of my bedroom windows forever. Don't let them in.
That's how I feel about it, and I've never even watched it. But
Hello,
don't
Fred.
start clowns.
Says hi, Sarah.
Hello.
Salem's Lot is being remade into a movie for Hulu.
Oh wow.
I've heard that as well. I'm totally good with Carrie. I think you guys will enjoy it in October. Misery is a fantastic book.
Oh.
That's also good because that's also him just doing a crime-ish novel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Fred. Alan is in the Death Trap that was made into a film. Is that the Death Trap? I think I might have missed a comment from Alan. Death Trap is great play by Ira 11 too. Ira 11. Don't know that one.
Mm-mm.
I'm a travel aficionado, and I thought King's time travel book was good enough. Okay. Slaughterhouse-Five is a great time traveling story.
Oh, I didn't realize it was a time traveling story.
Have you read Kurt Vonnegut?
No, my brother's read a lot of him. I haven't read him yet.
It's interesting. The idea is that there's a man who was like Kurt Vonnegut in the city that they firebombed in Germany, Dresden.
Oh, yep.
The bombing of Dresden, and survived, and he has really horrific PSTD, you know. And he finds that he gets unstuck in time.
Oh.
And he can disappear somewhere else in time at one point.
Interesting.
Some critics say, you know, he's not really traveling in time. He's just suffering from PSTD. So it's really not a time travel story. And then you get people arguing, is it a science fiction? Does he really travel in time, or is it just all in his head?
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen good arguments for both.
Okay.
And I think that's a mark of a good book is when you can get multiple readings from the same text. And
yes, I agree.
No, you can't remake Salem's Lot. It will always be with David Soul. Wasn't he part of Chips? The old TV show, California?
I'm familiar with it.
I'm going to let someone old like me make a comment. No, really, that would have been when I was in high school. So ancient TV. That was a great film, Alan. There are 2 versions, lots of twists. I'm going to bed. Good night. Good night, Bibliophile Raider. Digging Books, Slaughterhouse-5 is terrific. And one of my top 10 books is Dystopian 2, or labeled as Dystopian. So it goes. Yeah, Peter. So yeah, it's just a phrase. You have to read the book to understand. Zap, there are better time travel books than the ones that deal with historic events. Are my favorite. Alan Apple's Time Master series is fantastic. Good night, Biblio Reader. Hey, Sarah, what is your favorite e-reading device? Do you read more digitally now? Or are you still reading a lot of physical books?
So from the 7 e-readers that I own, let me reach and grab it. Oops, stroking stuff. I do tend to read more digitally just because I'm getting older and my eyes are not what they used to be. But I love my Kobo Sage, which is very similar to the Kindle Scribe, but about $200 cheaper. And here in Canada, this is how we get ebooks from the library. So our ebooks don't, like I think in the US, you guys get them to your Kindle device.
Yeah.
We have to get them to Kobo because it's a Canadian company. So that's why I love this, but I love the size of it. I love the buttons on it. This was well worth the price of admission for me. But I do have all the Kindles except for the Scribe, and I have all of the different Kobos that are currently released. But
I'm there with you.
I read more than one book at a time, so I need multiple devices.
I was an ebook reader before there was a Kindle.
Oh, okay.
They had these little things called PDAs, personal desktop assistants.
Yes, yes.
And they were about the size of your phone, or even smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, the main reading program was Microsoft Reader.
Okay.
And you could buy Microsoft Reader books from Amazon.
Okay.
But what happened is you bought a book, and they sent you an email. You will get a link within 24 hours to download your book. And you had to wait a number of hours.
Oh, wow. That wouldn't fly today.
No, but it was
for the time.
At the time, it was, and I carried a fanny pack around with me with this little reading device because back I was younger. My wife and I went out to dinner, and she'd want to go shopping at a store.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, they have a bench outside the store. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was great. I mean, as I said, I have a Kindle Scribe.
Okay.
I'm gonna say I love it. It's my favorite device, but it is overpriced.
Yes.
It is. I'm just in a position of life where if I want to buy something overpriced, it's okay for me.
Yeah.
For people on a budget, which is a vast majority of people, I would not recommend the Kindle. I would go with the Paperwhite.
No, the Paperwhite's fantastic.
It is.
Mm-hmm. I may have a couple of those hanging around too.
I have my Kindle Scribe.
Yep.
I have an old Oasis 2, which is now my wife's e-reading device.
Okay.
Problem with that is that if I read this, I can read all day long, and I'm still at maybe 10%. If I read 2 hours on my Oasis, it's down 50%.
Yeah.
So for my wife who reads maybe a book a month, and it's fine for her. But
yeah. Well, even the Sage, I mean, this came in around 300, I think it was.
Okay.
But I had gotten a bonus from work, and I'm like, that's how I'm going to spend it because that's how I want to spend it.
That's perfect.
Treat yourself. That's right.
It is. And now the thing is also Kobo, is being a Canadian company, is much more viable, I think, in Canada. Now MJ also had a Kobo. But I think the Scribe just, Siren Song is, I love this.
And I mean, I've seen you guys with it. I've seen Ollie with it, and I'm like, I do want one day.
I would wait for the second iteration to come out.
Okay.
Let's see if they drop the price.
Yep.
I mean, it has this cool pen, but to be honest, I almost never write.
Well, that's what I don't annotate, right? So that never really interests me.
Yeah.
I just like the big screen on. But then again, this I won't take to work. Like, this does not come with me to work just because of the price point. God forbid if something happened to it, so I just take a smaller one, right?
Well, I had to go to the auto dealer to get my car, annual maintenance. 2 hours. And I bought my Paperwhite because
Yep.
If I lose that or it's destroyed, I'm upset, but it's not.
It's not the end of the world.
Now this, I would be really, because the price point.
I know.
It's affordable, but I don't want to do that twice.
Yeah, exactly. But to answer the other part of that question, I still do read quite a bit physically because I have a ridiculous library of old stuff that you just cannot get digitally.
As I said, I was reading this and I DNF'd it. Part of the reason I DNF'd it is because the print and reading glasses, I'm just going, it's just, I got this scribe over here with tons of books I can read.
Yeah.
And I am still going to do some, but like you said, you can see I have a lot of physical books in my house. So I'll always be reading some physical books as well, and audiobooks.
Always audio.
All right, let's catch up. I have one question I know I wanted to ask you. Stephen King wrote Carrie as a graduate student, poor, and recently married. Yeah, his wife actually threw the draft he threw Carrie in the trash.
Oh,
like this book is trash. I threw it. And he took it out. He says, "No, you finish this." So I guess his wife did him a good job. Good turn. Oh, Sarah, what is the one romance book you'd recommend over and over to someone who isn't a romance reader?
That depends on if you prefer contemporary or historical. Historical, all day long, The Duke and I by Julia Quinn, the first book in the Bridgerton series. But please don't judge it based on the show. I liked the show, but I love the book, and they're two totally different things. You can't, you know what I mean? Like, it is an adaptation, but it's not. Anyway, I love The Duke and I. But if you're looking for contemporary, one of my favorite contemporary novels it is a romance, but it's more of a women's fiction, and it's called The Ocean Between Us. And it's about a woman and her husband. Now, he's in the Navy. And at the very beginning of the book, he's on the carrier ship and something happens, like the aircraft carrier, and something happens. And then you go back in time to when they first met and started dating. And then you go through their whole life together to where they've actually separated because he's always away and he's working and it was an amazing story. Amazing story. Susan Wiggs is the author. She's one of my favorites.
And the title again is?
The Ocean Between Us.
Ocean Between Us. Okay. I mean, I've only read a couple of romances in my life. I did one as a bet. When the first Kindle came out, there was a bulletin board, and we bet people, say, I bet you can read one of these books that are outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And so it was fun. And, someone said, can I recommend a romance to you? I said, okay, I'll try a romance. And she was kind. She knew it was a man read. So I guess she picked one of the spicier ones.
Okay. Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Well, you're a guy, you're gonna at least like that part of the book.
This one is not like, it has some scenes, but it's not. Like I said, it's really more about the relationship.
Okay.
And like over the course of a long period of time, which is great.
Cool. Starsky and Hutch. Oh, that's where David saw. See, now this is why my comments are getting really out of date. Turn of the Screw has multiple levels. Could be a ghost story. Could be a nanny with mental problems. Yeah. Okay, digging books. Okay. Has anyone ever read Daphne du Maurier's House on the Strand?
No.
That is a great book. Weird and time traveling too. I loved it. It was very strange.
Du Maurier is amazing, but I have not read that one.
I've only read Rebecca.
Oh, read Jamaica Inn. If you want a good pirate story, read Jamaica Inn.
That's the next one on my list.
Yeah, you'll like it.
Now, here's a question: if you read it, the narrator of the book never gives her name.
Correct.
And I read that, and I said, "What would her name be?" And then my wife, I say how good it was. My wife came up with the same book, and the premise of the book is that it's a name that's not easy to spell and not easy to pronounce.
Oh, okay.
Because her guy got it right. She's, oh, you got my name pronounced.
Oh,
And
yeah.
So I found one. Was it Sabon? Siob. I can't even spell it correctly without looking. And my wife came up with the same name.
Oh, wow.
I just said, "What would you name under this?" She came
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Oh, I reread Rebecca every 2 or 3 years. It's one of my favorites.
All right, I'll put Jamaica Inn on the probably the audio book.
Oh, it's fantastic on audio.
Okay, that's how I did Rebecca.
Yep.
Kobo used to work with OneDrive, then Libby took over. Honestly, I haven't played with my little Kobo in over a year. I need to do a video on that. There she goes. Scribe Tribe. They have dropped the Scribe price recently. I still think it's over $400. Have you read Silence of the Lambs? Says ask Peter.
I have not read it. I've watched the movie pretty much like this.
I read Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs before they were movies.
Oh, okay.
I remember I was at university and I picked up Silence of the Lambs and I was reading that instead of the books I was supposed to be reading, you know.
Why not?
Sarah, here's Nettie. What is your favorite genre of book, if you have one? I think I know this one. Go ahead.
It's a romance. It's definitely romance of all types.
Zap. $304 for the basic model of Scribe. That's a good price.
Really, that's not bad.
That's a very good price. Alan read all of Thomas Harris. I did read his sequel to Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal.
Yes.
And my because he wrote that like 15 years later. And my idea was his publisher, when is going to be the sequel? When is going to be the sequel?
Yeah.
Got so mad at them. He wrote, I don't know if you read that one, but
I've heard it was not very good.
It just read like a book someone was really annoyed
Forced to write?
by.
Yeah.
Forced to write. Greg, I put mine on airplane mode when I read. My Kindle battery lasts for at least a month. It's very true, or very close to being true, with my Scribe.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Kindle. We were talking about the Kindle Oasis 2, which was okay in the beginning, the last couple of weeks, but as it got older, the battery life got really, really bad. I mean, and now the interesting thing when you talk about battery life is on my Scribe. Let's see if I can show this. I've actually done a battery log, because you can write in your Scribe saying on such and such a date my battery was this, then I recharged it. So I don't know, where's page 2, just to give you an example of battery lives. I can't get to, but it's usually like half a month, 20 days.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty good. Medium John, my first e-reader came from the Ultimate Library, 10,000 books on CD. I had that one. It ran on XP. What I actually did was print out a few of the Shadow stories and read those.
That's hilarious.
It is. Now, when you talk about the Shadow, The Shadow was in public domain for about a year or two, all the books. And then it was published by this website called Black Mask.
Okay.
It was a website before the Kindle, so if you weren't, I mean, it's just ancient history. And he had all these great pulps, all the normal classics, but he really specialized in all the pulps.
Okay.
He had Doc Savage, he had the Shadow, the Spider. But what happened is some magazine claimed that they owned the copyright to the Shadow.
Okay.
And he says, no, you don't. It's public domain. And it was on Project Gutenberg for a while.
Oh, okay.
And so what happened was, once this magazine came out and said, we own the copyright, Project Gutenberg just took it down. Said, we're not going to leave it up until it's settled. This site left it up. And he took him to court. And he lost. But I happened to buy his CD compilation of ebooks when it was still available. So I have like 300 Shadow books on ebook.
Oh my goodness.
I'll never read them all, but I have them.
But you got them.
I don't know. I don't think they're illegal now because I bought them when it was supposedly legal. Zap, the second iteration of Scribe is rumored to come out in September. I doubt that because it just came out last year.
I was gonna say Christmas gift.
I've seen professional Amazon talkers say something's coming out in September.
That's what I've heard, is that there is going to be a new Kindle, which I'm probably going to purchase.
He says probably a new Oasis.
Okay.
Or a whole new different type of Kindle that may be somewhere between Oasis and Scribe.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's a good idea. I mean, at this point, it's all just pure speculation.
Speculation, yeah.
MJ, I write all the time on my Scribe. It is great for note-taking, video planning, to-do lists. Oh, yeah, my Scribe is homebound. My Scribe, yep, homebound. Panther, that damn book. MJ's looking for a copy of Panther. I bought this $2, before Paperback from Hell, and now it's like $50-$60.
Wow.
And it's not worth $50-$60.
No. You'll sell yours for the low price of.
Barely worth $2, in my opinion.
There you
go. Reading physical books now is so hard on the eyes. Nettie, I'm there with you. I know. Peter, having an e-reader would have been helpful. Reading World War and Peace. It is a heavy book, just like the book I'm reading now, The Count of Monte Cristo.
Gosh, yeah.
Ooh, Sarah Beth, reading. It's all happy, something happiness. Squash happiness. Don't read 11/22/63. I got mad at parts 2 and I cried. I read it 4 times and it's 1,153 pages. Doom and Key is a good one and Insomnia is all right.
Nothing with clowns, thank you.
King is my absolute favorite author right now. I don't read much since it takes me a month to read a book that's 400 pages or more. And that is how I read it 4 times.
Yeah.
Philippa Gregory Tudor series are good. The Other Berlin Girl, etc. Have you read any of those, Sarah? If so, do you like them?
I have not read Philippa Gregory, but I do have some of her books on my shelf, and I've heard really good things. The Tudor period is one that I'm not as familiar with, but I do love a good historical novel, not just historical romance.
Well, there's interesting story behind Philippa Gregory on The Other Berlin Girl. When I was living in Washington State, we had an in-person book group. And a moderator would pick the books every month. And one month she'd pick The Other Berlin Girl. I said, I don't want to read a romance. I think I'll skip. But I decided, no, something? I'm going to try to read this book. And I really wind up loving it because it's not really a romance novel. It is an historical novel about happenings at the court of King Henry VIII. Now there is some romance involved, so
Of course.
I guess it could be labeled romance, but that's not the driver of the plot.
It's romance adjacent.
Okay, that's what you call that, is romance.
Yeah, romance adjacent.
But what's interesting is there's only 2 men in the group. One of the men was like 10 years older than me, maybe 15 years. And he had the same thing. He goes, yeah, I'm not going to read this. And then he read it and he really loved it too. So part of that is, I think, going in with expectations, saying,
yes,
I'm just going to try it and then I'll put it aside. Say, at least I tried. And then saying,
yes,
wow,
yes,
that was pretty darn good. Nettie, great question. I've been to Jamaica Inn in Cornwall, but I've never read the book. I must read it.
Yes.
The House on the Strand, Alan. I think you would like that one. See, I'm trying to get to the comments because I want to talk to you about something I've seen on your videos. I'm trying to get to the end of the comments. Nettie is very well read. I need to read The Master Margarita. Yeah, Alan, you can read. That's a good one. You know that one? Master Margarita? Yeah, that might be. That was a book written in the Soviet Union during the era when there was lots of cracking down on writers, and it was not allowed to be published, but it circulated underground.
Oh, neat.
And the author died or went to the gulag or something, and then it was published after he was dead.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's set in the Stalinist era, but it includes the devil coming to Moscow.
Oh.
And includes a giant talking pistol packing cat.
All right, you sold me at cat.
Yeah, Alan, you must read that. $350 for the 64 gigabyte with premium pen. Now that's probably described. That sounds more like I don't work for Amazon. Zap T. Zap, you sure? Or LOL, he. Zap, I have friends in Portland at Amazon, and they can only stand it 6 to 8 months. Yeah, Amazon is like apparently just a brutal place to work.
We have one not 5 minutes from us. We have one of the distribution centers. My husband worked there for all of 15 minutes. He's like, I've had enough of this already.
You know, when I was a computer programmer, I possibly could have gotten a job at Amazon because I lived right outside Seattle.
Okay.
But I like my 40-hour work weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, you come in at this time and your 8 hours are done and
you go home.
Here.
That's right.
And that's really what forced me to retire early. Is I had a job as a programmer, it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to start early in the workday.
Same.
You know, I start at 6 a.m. So by 2:30, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
One of the VPs is one of those people who likes to roll in 9:30, 10, 10:30. You know those type.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was done for the day, he was just ramping up.
Yeah.
And sometimes he scheduled meetings for like 3 or 3:30. He said, okay, I'll then he'd come with a project. Let's finish this today. And I'm going, no. My house sold well. No. New scribe will be out for the holiday. Buzz. We'll see. Greg and Sarah, where do you typically shop for your old school physical books? Thrift stores, library sales, garage sales?
All of the above. Mostly thrift stores, though. And thrift books. Online.
I do too. Where I live in Virginia, the only really main bookstore is a Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
And Barnes and Noble, the stock is just geared to a different reading set.
I agree.
Now, since you're a romance reader, I would assume that it's stronger in the romance category.
Absolutely.
Than for me, like old classics, like you can't see them like the New York book classic reviews or. But when I go in there, it's like if someone gave me a gift certificate, okay, I could find something.
Yeah. Twist my arm.
It's just I don't have the pleasure of just browsing the way I would do like in some of the old independent bookstores that are in Seattle. Some of those bookstores in like Seattle, you walk in and you're going, give me.
I want to go to Powell's just because I hear so much about it.
Yeah. But I do go to some of the thrift stores around here, and thrift books, and it's just hit or miss.
It is.
Winter. It's really getting late. Good night, everyone. Good night, Winter. Greg, Mike looks and sounds good. Okay, earlier. Alan was saying my mic wasn't picking up my voice, but
that sounds fine to me.
Sarah, you sound and look good too. Sarah, I love your channel name, Bookish Knitter. It's lovely.
Thank you, because I also knit.
Well, see, one thing is, I could see someone knitting and listening to an audiobook it sounds like a perfect combination.
My favorite thing to do. Absolute favorite.
Sarah, I have a little over 100 Harlequins on my Kindle Paperwhite that I will start next year. I have many other books going already, and I need to finish for. Don't ask me how many Kindle books I have.
Oh yeah, no. We're going into the 4 digits at this point.
I passed 4 digits.
Okay.
Now, I've been at it since 2008, but at least in the U.S., I know they do it in Britain, I presume, they have Kindle sales.
Yes.
Like $1.99, $2.99.
99 cents. Oh, yes.
At that point, I don't care if I never get around to reading it.
I've supported the author.
Yeah.
It's there if I ever want to read it.
It's like crack cocaine.
It really is. This is my drug of choice.
At least there's not too many bad side effects.
That's right.
I've been doing a little bit better. I've been now checking my library for books because I'm at the point where I will not read every book I own on my Kindle.
Sadly, yeah.
Before I die, I just will not do it.
I'm just gonna have to live to be forever.
That's what I say. Heat death of the universe is what I'm aiming for.
That's right.
I think I'll miss that goal a little bit, but digging. I really enjoyed the Tudor series. It is fantastic. Total escapism.
Okay, good to know.
Digging. They actually offer you £1 to come over and work for Amazon. Oh, after £1,000.
Oh, wow.
Now I know why. It sounds like a dreadful place to work. They work you like dogs. And not a kind way to treat a dog either.
No, like the bad way. Yeah.
Yes. Sarah, have you done a library tour video?
No, I have not. Not yet. I'm still in the middle of organizing my library and cataloging it. Then I plan to do that. I'm hoping by the end of the year.
Alan, damn, I figured the Master and Margarita was about 1,000 sailing ships. I much prefer used bookstores to new bookstores. I do. It really depends. If you get a good new bookstore like the one Elliott Bay Books in Seattle.
Okay.
That is just a really fabulous new bookstore because they don't stock a lot of the popular new stuff. They have a little bit, but it's mostly the obscure stuff that
I like that.
Fred, great question. Fred, great question. Did I miss a question by Fred? Maybe it was earlier. Fred, great question. I don't. Oh, well, where do you shop for books? Okay, that was Fred's question. Okay. MJ, there are books in heaven. There must be. LOL.
Heaven is just a giant library, and you get all the new releases early.
My joke was, if there were an Africa, it would be a huge library, and all the librarians would be cats.
There is a bookstore in the town, it's like about an hour from us. It's up in the north area where there's all the lakes. And it's a bookstore. It's a used bookstore that had a cat, like a bookstore cat. And I said to my husband, this is my dream. Can we just move in here?
Back in the late 80s, early 90s, when I was living in Bethesda, Maryland, they had a used bookstore. I forgot. But they had two black cats that lived in the store with them. It was fun. So one day I went into I was looking at the books. I had to kneel down to look at the lower, and one of the cats came up to me, hopped on my shoulder, and sat on my head. I was trying not to laugh. And the bookstore clerk says, "Sir, I like your chapeau."
It's delightful.
It is.
I love it.
It is. All bookstores like that should have cats.
I agree.
Now, the one thing I came back a few years later, they had a sign about the cats not being there. They said, these cats are really old. They have been retired to a worker's home.
Sure.
And I was just sad because I love going in there and just saying hi to them.
Exactly.
You have a couple cats or just one cat? Two cats.
I do. Yeah.
I have three.
When my husband and I move out, we will be getting a few more, or at least one more. One of the cats is actually my mom's because we live with my mother right now. But the black cat is mine and the gray cat is my mother's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think I've told the story about how we got our cats. We used to have two cats, and one of them was like 19, 20 years old, and her health was really bad, just hanging on. One of our other cats, Teddy, always wanted to come up and play with her. And she just didn't want to have anything to do with him. So we decided to go to the shelter to buy him a friend. Because he lived with other cats. He liked them. We've lived with dogs. He liked the dogs. Very sociable cat. So we're going to get our cat a friend. So we went to the shelter, and you have a web page where you pick out, I want to see this cat, this cat, this cat.
Yes.
And so we came, 4 days later. I want to see this cat, this cat. Oh, they're all gone. They're all adopted. So, okay, let's see. And they had this cat named Trike. He was a three-legged cat. I'll see the three-legged cat. So I went into the room, plucked him down. He just rolled over his back on my lap. I rubbed his belly. He's gone. Yeah. I said, "Okay, wife, this one. We're taking him." And then she says, "Well, we owe it to ourselves to see another cat and see which one we love more." So we went to the next room. We saw another cat. She's on the little fluffy cat. She says, "I like this cat." Okay, we'll take both.
Yeah.
Because they had like a BOGO sale at the shelter. You take them both for the price of one. And there's a third cat banging on my head with his paw. My wife said, I would have let you take that other cat too, but
Aww.
3 cats is a lot.
It is. Yes.
All right. Limited time deal. 27. The price list was $3.99 on the 3 gigabyte version. Yeah, that's the thing about the Amazon. They do go on sale. So. Alan, break my kingdom for your password. No. Okay. All right. That's the end of the comments. So you mentioned in a couple of your other videos about you having a page count challenge.
Yes. The page count reading challenge.
So I kind of like the idea because I used to do the like Goodreads book challenge, like read 100 books per year or whatever. And it always encouraged me to read shorter books.
Yes.
So I could get that count done and say, I've read 150 books. But I got things like, well, I have longer books that I want to read. So all on my own, I said, I'm just going to set my own page count per year. And therefore, if I DNF a book, I can still use the page count. What? I said, well, I read 100 pages. I can still count that as 100 pages read. If I read short stories, I can just write it down. I've read a 20-page short. That counts. So I don't know how. So you can tell a little bit more about your challenge and how that works. That sounds pretty interesting.
So I got the idea off of these 4 ladies this one lady I follow off of Instagram. Twice a year, they do this 1,000-page reading challenge to read 1,000 pages in a week. I'm like, I really love the idea, but I don't want to just do it twice a year. Let's do it once a month. So I started this challenge on my channel, and I, of course, encourage other people to join in. And you can set your goal. Like I was thinking about Ollie with the, the read your own books challenge. So it's like you could do, if somebody doesn't read as much, 250 pages, 500 pages, 750, and 1,000. So people come on my Discord, they let us know how many pages they're going to go for. And every day, everybody updates everybody else. Like, oh, yesterday I read 200 pages. And it's just, I just think it's a fun way to encourage you to read more. Again, like you said, though, without like, oh, you've got to finish 5 books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of us, at least me, I'm always in the middle of like 5 things. So, but yeah, that's why I do it once a month. It's typically the last full week of the month, so people can get those last books in or pages in for the end of the month.
That's it. I think I'm going to join it because it just, I mean, I don't really count per week.
Yeah.
You know, I just, you know, start a book and then finish it. And then I hit, you know, because I have a book reading database. So I just put in my database and you have a database, you have Excel spreadsheet.
A Google Doc or Google Sheets. Yep.
That works just as well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I was a computer programmer, so I use Microsoft Access. So
I don't have Microsoft on my laptop, but I have Google. So
that's more like an Excel spreadsheet, or is it?
it is. It's yeah, and no, it is 100%. And there's a guy named Brock who has a channel called Let's Read. He hasn't uploaded in years, but he did this spreadsheet called the Let's Read spreadsheet. And if you search it, you'll find it. And I bastardized it, pardon me, as much as I possibly could because I wanted it for what I need it for. So I know the basics of using Excel, but enough to get by. And it's my Bible now. It's my reading Bible.
Yeah, I mean, some people think it's strange that I log all my books, but I've been doing it since December of 1990.
Oh, wow.
So it's really, you know, longer than a lot of people on BookTube have been alive.
I was going to say, yeah.
That I can go back and say what I was reading, and it's changed over the years.
Of course.
When I first started, I didn't log as many things, and back when I first started, I only wrote down when I finished a book.
Okay.
But then I was listening to an audiobook on Thomas Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned when he started a book, he wrote it down in his log.
Mm-hmm.
And when he finished it, he said, the date, he said, well, that's good enough for Thomas Jefferson.
I should do it too.
I'll do it too. So that, you know, that happened, you know, 10 or so years after I started. So, you know, it's not complete, but it's amazing to go back and see how much I read and what my reading changes are
Mm-hmm.
over the years. Because
Mm-hmm.
at this point, it's a lifetime of reading data.
Mine only goes back to 2016. I wish it went back further, but I wasn't thinking about doing that back then. You know what I mean? And I wasn't reading nearly what I'm reading now. I've
Mm-hmm.
always been a reader, but not to the extent I am now.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do, I think I definitely want to join the book challenge.
Yes,
So
please do.
I'm going to have to update my database just a little bit, just to account for the weekly scores.
And like I tell people, audiobooks count, graphic novels count, whatever you want counts.
And I know it says like I guess at the start of the week on an audiobook, you say, I'm at 20%.
Yeah.
And you calculate its book is so-and-so pages, so percent.
It's not really difficult to do with audiobooks.
No.
It just takes a little bit of extra time to do.
It does.
Mm-hmm. But it can be done.
Like I say, I count audiobooks on my yearly challenge because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
now the only thing I feel a cheat is I do a lot of nonfiction. So I look up at Amazon and say, okay, this book is 560 pages. Okay, well, I know 60 pages probably footnote, but I'm not going to go hunt down a physical copy and say,
nonfiction for me needs to be done on audio. That's just the way that my brain works. You know, it just works better for me that way.
I love audio nonfiction, like presidential biographies. But I really like them on audio. It really works well for me. It works well for me. Not everyone, but.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Actually, one of my favorite, I happen to have it here because I was using it to prop up my laptop. The Witches by Stacy.
I did that one.
Schiff. This was so good. This was so
audio?
good. Yeah.
I did on audio too.
Yep. I really enjoyed it. Because I looked at the book and I'm like, I am not reading that with my eyeballs.
Sarah Beth, I have 900 books on my Kindle and about 2,000 to 3,000 stored on my PC. All my books are side-loaded from places
Yep.
online.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can definitely do that. As I said, I
Mm-hmm.
bought this mat. It was like 3 CDs full of ebooks from this company back in early 2000s.
Mhm.
Now, again, most of them are Project Gutenberg stuff.
Sure.
But I still have this treasure trove of pulp
Yep.
that are no longer legally available.
Way back when Harlequin got started online and you could buy ebooks from their website, you actually got to download. You downloaded it to your PC. So and then you had to sideload it to whatever device you were using. I still have about 100 of those sitting on my laptop because I bought them and I loved it. You can't do that with a Kindle book.
No, you can download them to your PC.
Can you? Must be an American thing.
They don't have Kindle PC in Canada? Okay.
Nope.
It's probably some sort of licensing agreement that
It's got to be. Yeah. It's got to be.
Yeah. Such a great idea, Sarah.
Well, thank you.
MJ, ooh, I love the sound of that challenge. I can pair it with my Read What You Own when it starts up.
Yes.
Yeah, because again, when I'm gonna do the Read What You Own challenge again this year.
I really need to do that.
Even though it does encourage reading shorter books, just because maybe I'll change it out for a page count. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But I don't know, because he's saying like I got all these books. I don't know. I don't know where I'll go with that. But
Yeah.
Sarah, but every time I start a book, it goes into a category called currently reading. When I'm done, I take it out and put it into the finished category.
Oh, you're better than I am. I just mark it as read and move on to the next one on my Kindle.
On your Kindle? Oh yeah.
I don't categorize stuff. I don't put stuff in. I just look it up when I want to read it. That's all I do.
You don't do the collections at all?
Good Lord, no, I don't have that kind of time.
I do, but it's again.
But that's great. It's just not for me.
The thing is, it really doesn't affect anything because I kind of know I'll just search for it anyway.
Exactly.
Word search.
Exactly.
MJ, there's a Kindle PC. Wow. Yes, MJ. It should work. I don't know if MJ has a Windows or a Mac. It should work for, but I know my laptop is a Windows, so it worked fine. Thing is, I have never read a book on my laptop.
God, no.
It's just too big and cumbersome.
Yeah. It's not really easy to bring with you when you're at the grocery store.
No. Nettie, off to bed now, lovely people. 2:10 a.m.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. We got some crazy British folk that come in.
That is awesome.
And Nettie she's going to come back and be another host. Not September or October. We got to get her back on. She's been
awesome.
Night Nettie. Saying good night. I'm not going for a huge number this year. Small bites add up to large number over time. 10 books at a time. No pressure, no stress. LOL.
That's a great idea.
Now, I have noticed on buying books is that I don't think I've bought a new release physical book in a long time.
Okay.
I mean, if it's a new release, I almost always go for audio or Kindle. And most of my physical copies are now used copies of stuff that's out of print.
Yep. I'd rather spend my money there than on a new release.
Actually, I don't read a lot of. I've noticed I don't read a lot of new releases.
I get them from NetGalley.
You get them from
yeah.
And here comes MJ. She's got a comment coming up about my one new release that I did read this year. MJ's a Mac girl. Checking now.
Mm,
Monstrilio, yes. That is the one new release I read as a buddy read with MJ earlier this year.
nice.
It was an odd little book. All right. We are at the end of the comments again. So what other interests like you? So let's talk a little bit about romance because, like I said, I'm not a huge romance reader, and
Shocking.
I got this one. You know, when I was looking at like Goodwill, I said, well, I got to try. It's a shapeshifter, Jaguar. She's her Jaguar senses
By Lindsay McKenna.
by Lindsay McKenna. You know you've heard of the author.
She was a fighter pilot in the U.S. military.
Okay.
Yeah. So because she writes a lot of military romance, but she did try her hand at some paranormal as well.
Okay.
So yeah. She's a good author. I like her stuff. But yeah, I mean, I love these books. I mean, even within the romance community, the category romance, the Harlequins or Mills and Boone are really looked down upon. Like I said, even by other romance readers. And they're not because they're fun. They're just the whole point. They're just fun. You know, they don't take themselves seriously. Right.
Right. Now, in my community, I have two physical book groups, and I couldn't, so I had to drop out of one. But one of the I dropped out of, one of the woman who was part of it was a romance writer.
Oh.
Her pen name was Hope Ramsey.
Oh, really? Oh, I've read her.
Yeah, so
That's awesome.
We talked about I talked about like a little bit of a Garbogist once, and she got oh man, she just got fuming. You could see her inner seething about saying that romance could have been garbage, and I never got to really explain
Right. Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah.
And she just said how important romance was to the publishing industry, and
It is. It's the biggest selling genre but it's the biggest selling genre. You know, it outsells pretty much everything. But it's got a connotation of being that, like the 50 Shades of Grey. You know, the bored stay-at-home mom who is looking for something to read. And I mean, Kate, the vast majority of the books, let's be realistic, they're good books, they're enjoyable books, but they're not, you know, oh my God, amazing. There are some that are really, really good, though. Really good. You know, that are, you know, important topics and death of a spouse and all kinds of things. So yeah, they do have their place and talk about some important issues.
Yeah, I mean, especially in Garbogist, I've read a few. I mean, I don't think like the spy novels have a whole lot of important issues in them, but
they're still fun.
They
and
are.
There's a place for fun. Not everything has to be serious.
It's absolutely. I mean, I've been getting more and more of these what MJ's called cowboy trash books. I don't know if you've read a cowboy trash book.
I've read a lot of cowboy romance, so I'm assuming it's close to the same thing. Or no, my grandfather loved the books you're talking about. Yes, I know which ones you're talking about.
I don't think your grandfather read these.
Oh, okay.
Now you have a typical Western.
Yeah.
You know, guy goes out with a gun and has to defend the town from cattle rustlers or something, you know. And there's usually a lady interest somewhere in there, but it's always very sedate.
Okay.
Cowboy trash books are pornography.
Oh, all right then. So no, Grandpa probably didn't read those.
No, these are really very explicit.
Really?
Because when I read like as a teenager, like Penthouse Forum, you know, it's that level of graphic. And it's the Western story, like the cowboy has to take a mother and two daughters down to Mexico and defend them.
Yes.
And of course, he gets romantically involved with all of them. And
of course. As one does.
That's why, but I guess it's like the equivalent, a male equivalent of Harlequin.
Yes, that's what it sounds like to me. Yeah, yeah. But even the Harlequins don't get that explicit. Certain lines might, but not in general, not all of them.
Now this is, but it's intended for a male audience. I just figured that they.
Shit.
Oh, did you freeze up on me? I think we lost Sarah. I think we lost Sarah. Okay, so let's see if she can get back in. MJ, cowboy trash isn't sleaze, it's trashy. I call them harlequins for men, but the women are the instigators in the long arm books. Now, I have not read a long arm book yet. Alan, big hard books and classics, Greg. My Libby of Absalom runs out tonight. I might get it on Audible. I've got 2 credits. I still need for the last 3 chapters. Yeah, I'm on chapter 5. I'm a little bit behind for my Absalom reading. And MJ, June on the Range was a lot of fun. Okay. I'm not seeing Sarah come back. So let's see if we can get a few more comments about what people want to talk about. And Alan Lonesome Dove was great. Okay. Oh, there's Sarah.
I am so sorry. My cell phone completely died on me.
Okay, that's what happened.
Yeah.
All right, no problem. Yeah, so we're just talking and finishing up on the
About
the
those
cowboy trash.
schmutty cowboys.
Yeah, like MJ had a good point. Is that she says cowboy trash isn't sleaze, it's trashy. I call them harlequins for men, but the women are the instigators in the long arm books.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Okay.
as a guy, I am totally fine with that. All right. Greg, do you have an XP Ultimate Library CD? Runs on XP, but does not work on the modern PCs. Yes, I had one, and I eventually just tossed it. These are the 10,000 public domain books. But the reason I actually tossed it was because I had this other set that I purchased from Black Mask, which would have had almost the exact same books. And I didn't need 2 copies of that. But yeah, the old X. Now you might be, if you have one, you might be able to download an XP emulator onto your laptop, which basically fools the system into thinking it's running on an XP, a virtual machine. And at that point, you could transfer the CD over to at least the files over to an external storage, and that should work. Awesome. Reading this life. What are you reading for Garbagus this week, Greg and Sarah?
This is novelization.
Novelizations are famous people.
Speaking of thrift books, I found this gem, and I cannot wait to read it. Goblins by Charles Grant. It's not a, what do you call it? It's not a novelization of an episode. It's just based on the X-Files, which was my favorite show growing up. So I'm looking forward to that.
Now, is that the same Charles L. Grant who was a horror author?
Yes. And Kevin J. Anderson wrote for this as well. And I know he's written a lot for Star Wars, I think. I don't know. But yeah, That's my big plans for this week, is to finally get to that one. I read it in high school, so.
Well, anything else you gonna try?
Oh gosh, well, I'm still reading this one. I was reading this one in MJ's yesterday. This Digging Deeper by Amanda Stevens, about the girl locked in the box underground.
Okay, you mentioned about that, Digging Deeper.
Yeah, it's really, really. I mean, this is a romance novel. We are 30% of the way through it. She's still trapped in the box. So I don't know how much romance we're going to be getting out of this.
Romance adjunct story.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, as I mentioned, I finished Damien, the novelization of Damien. I have a second novelization of the movie Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
I love it.
That was actually published rather recently.
Oh.
So like within the past 2 or 3 years. So it's not a recent, or I say it's a very recent novelization. So I mean, I've seen that movie. I mean, it is just so. Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah.
It just. They just wanted to make a movie that was just so bad that it was wonderful. And you can get clips off YouTube. That's just, it has me in stitches about how bad it is. Because
I feel like for Garb August next year, there needs to be like a week where it's like a bad movie week, like a trashy movie week or something.
All right. And so that's that. Then I actually have an in-person book group next week, and I really should read The Sea of Tranquility by Emily Mendel St. John.
Yes. Yeah.
She wrote more Station 11.
That's yes.
So I got to read that book. My wife read it already. She read it in one night. Just picked up and read the whole thing. I mean, it's amazing. She can like read Steve Donahue speed sometimes, I think. But
yeah.
She doesn't.
He's got a superpower.
But she doesn't read that much, MJ, so glad you liked it. McMurtry was a great writer, great man. Alan's going to read Dragon's Tears. So here's a question for you, Sarah, from Fred. Sorry if this has already been asked, Sarah. Does your husband read? If so, what kind of books does he enjoy?
Garrett likes biographies. Pretty much biographies about anybody, he will read them. Star Wars, but he's got just an obsession with Star Wars anyway. And Stephen King. Like for me, I will pick up pretty much anything. Garrett's like, it's got to be certain things is what he will read. You know what I mean? But no, he doesn't read nearly as much as me, but he does enjoy reading.
Yeah, my wife said, I said she reads some, but she's not like me, who will settle down every night when I'm done and read something.
Yeah, my husband's too busy watching hockey or play with his 3D printer or whatever.
Right. My wife's studying pickleball. She's a pickleball player now.
There you go.
Medium John, I retain an XP just for those CDs. Okay. I'm surprised that I guess you have an older machine that just runs them, but I think you can transfer the files over. Now the problem is will the interface may not work. So you just have the files and not be able to search through them. Kuntz, Alan Austin. All right. MJ must have read in junior high. Gonna go back for the memories. Alan says another great show. X-Files was an amazing show. Well, one of the off episodes were, except for one episode in which I will never watch again. Ew. I imagine the novels would be great reads.
Was it the episode Home? I have a feeling that's most people's episode that they step away from. It's about a family that really like each other a lot.
Oh.
And end up killing neighbors. Yeah. It was
okay.
It was actually, they stopped re-showing it in syndication. That's how bad it was.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you see, I saw the X-Files a little bit in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
And as I remember in the first season is they sort of said, well, is this phenomena real or not? And always sort of left it out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in later eras, it's all out in the open. Everything's
Yeah.
and then they got into big government plots.
Yeah, the big
hiding away.
conspiracies and stuff like that. Yeah.
All right. Because I really only watched a couple episodes back in the early days and never got into it.
I may or may not have been slightly crushing on David Duchovny, which is probably the reason I was watching it.
He's written a few books himself.
He has, because I was going to read one, and then I was like, oh, I'll pick up one of these instead,
And what's interesting is I actually heard him interviewed on a podcast by a book review of Michael Silverblatt, who normally does very high level literature books. And he says, this book is good. I want to interview you. It's worthy to be on my show. And it's like, okay, maybe I should. So I put it on my list of possibilities, but
there's one he's got, and it's a really short book. It's like comes in at an hour or something on Audible, but it's an Audible exclusive.
Oh.
Yeah. So you might want to check that out. I think it's one of the free ones. Like you can just listen to it.
Oh, Audible.
An Audible original. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I should. Don't tempt me to come back on not wearing a shirt anymore. Alan, if you tried showing up with out of shirt, I would just hit the kick button. Chris. Faulkner told his publishers that in one word, Absalom was about miscegenation. The plot turns on that taboo. The novel was originally titled Dark House. Yeah, I remember that was a topic because I first read that book in university about the dark secret that was destroying a family. And when you read the book, when you're looking for it, like the last word of the last sentence of the first chapter sort of gives it away. But it's amazing how shocking that was back then. It was like terrible family secret. It was like,
oh wow.
And it makes it in perspective because Faulkner knew it was going on. It's like, but he wants to show it, and still, even some people today would probably be shocked by that. It's like, we don't want our kids reading about that.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, I don't think anyone lower than a college level education can get through Absalom. It's a tough book. Absolutely. Okay. Reading this, I think almost everyone knows that episode. Yep, OMG was so ew. For those who don't know, it was called Home. Was it ew? Ew is flowers in the attic type of ew.
More so than that, even more than that. Like they had not been out in generations. So you're talking generations of interbreeding.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, they were deformed and it was not a great episode.
Now, was it not great because it was poorly done, or the subject just too tough for people to take in?
I think it was too tough for a lot of people. Like, to be completely honest, when I first saw it, I was grossed out, which is the whole point of the X-Files. And I mean, I knew the problem with it, but part of me was like, okay, this was an episode and away we go. And then years later it gets banned and I'm like, okay, I understand why. But at the time when I watched it, it was just, I've seen other episodes on there that just grossed me out even more than that one. So.
Well, I think that would be a fine topic for horror novels. And I've read other books that kind of go that direction a bit. Now, I know you're not an extreme horror fan, but Off Season by Jack Ketchum is about a family that lives on an island off the coast of Maine. And it is just a family. Started the tribe, and they go to the mainland to get dinner. And you probably guess what dinner is.
Yeah.
Sarah, that's it. Yes, it was banned.
I like banned in air quotes.
I was a member of the fan club.
I am jealous.
Alan is still in love with Gillian Anderson. Okay, sure, I'm married, but why not? I'll never
She's
meet her.
cute.
I'll never meet her. I can be in love with her, right?
Right.
Fox Mulder is a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Alan got Station 11 coming from the library. MJ,
Californication.
Californication. TV series.
My mother loved that show, and I'm like, no.
Yep. Red Shoe Diaries. DaVucci was a host.
Mm-hmm.
Real life is always more disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look under the bed. Okay. MJ, I've not seen Red Shoes yet. I still have my swag.
Nice.
Alan, you aren't missing much. Okay. Well, any sort of other Garbogus tips that you want to give out or romance tips? I mean, we've gone in on here about an hour and 35 minutes. So
if you honestly, if you're watching this and you're participating in Garbogus, even though the category Romance Week is over, just read one anyway. They're not, like I said before, they're not going to take you very long. They're 200 pages. They're trash, they're fun, and there's something for everybody. If you want a historical, if you want a paranormal, like you have, right? A contemporary, and an intrigue about a woman buried in a box underneath the ground, There's something for everybody.
Like I said, I owe it to myself to read a little bit more in these genres, just to say I've dipped my toe. I have not gotten the pregnant woman with a shotgun yet.
Oh, I just Appalachian Prey. I just came across that one on my shelf.
Is it any good, or is it?
I haven't read it yet because I showed it and Ollie went, "Oh, I got to read that." Ollie really liked it. So
it's an amazing cover. It's just
it's the trashiest of trashy covers.
Mm-hmm. All right, Zap. Yes. All right. The Monday night shows is always fabulous. Thank you, Alan, Greg, and Sarah. Yeah, I'm thinking it's about time to call it wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any last quick comments people have, throw them down real quick. I know there's probably a little bit of a delay. So, Sarah, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Our show. I appreciate it.
Oh, I had so much fun.
That's great. I always have fun listening to people with lots of different reading tastes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Well, then, everyone, have a good night, and we'll see you next week where we have Anne Novella coming on.
Ooh, awesome.
It will be at a special time because she is 6 hours ahead of me, and we got to have it in the afternoon instead of the evening to accommodate our European host.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.